Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're talking about the relativism cloak with the perk, the Spirit of Galanor. There is so much to unpack with this exotic perk. Is it good? Should it take the place of other exotics such as Orpheus Rig and Shards of Galanor? On top of that, we're also covering what other perks you would want to pair alongside the Spirit of Galanor. And lastly, we're covering a fun little build you could be using in endgame PvE content. You can always find timestamps down below and the dim link in the description. Let's get started with what is the Spirit of Galanor. Hits and final blows with your super will return super energy after it ends. Now there are two things you need to know. Number one, you can only gain a maximum of 50% super energy at the end of your super activation. On top of that, there is no diminishing returns, thus meaning every time you activate your super and you get a certain amount of hits and kills, you will gain that 50%. No diminishing returns. This is on page with the Orpheus Rig and the Shards of Galanor exotics. When should someone consider utilizing the Spirit of Galanor exotic perk? Well, it all falls back on the super you choose. There are three supers I recommend you use this exotic perk for. Number one is Silk Strike, the Strand super. Number two is the Silence and Squall, the Stasis super. And lastly, it's going to be the Storm's Edge, the new Arc super. Now you might be scratching your head, why can't I use it with Shadow Shot or with Golden Gun? With Golden Gun, you will not get enough kills to gain that 50% super energy back. I highly recommend you use something like the Celestial Nighthawk, being able to deal more damage. Lastly, when it comes to Shadow Shot, you're better off using Orpheus Rig. And the reason for that is because the Orpheus Rig comes with the exotic perk Uncanny Arrows, provides ability energy for each target tethered by deadfall anchors. There's a slight difference. With Spirit of Galanor, you'll only get super energy. With the Orpheus Rig, not only will you get super energy, but for every target tethered, you'll get ability energy, which you can see in the background. I'll get my grenade and melee back. Now I tested this exotic perk all night. I farmed the dual destiny mission over and over, and I can tell you one thing. The Spirit of Galanor is not for boss DPS. It's not to go out there and pop your super and deal damage to a boss. It is for ad clear only. This is where you'll gain the most benefit. This is where you'll get the 50% back. But if you solely focus on a boss, you will not get that 50% back. Now, where do I rank Spirit of Galanor? I rank it in the A tier. You can see how well it performs in the first clock room. When the Tormentor spawns alongside a bunch of enemies, I was able to use my Revenant super and also my Silk Strike to secure a bunch of kills, gain that 50% energy back, and deal damage to the Tormentor. Now maybe you get your hands on a Hunter class item and you get the Spirit of Galanor. What other perks should you be looking for? This all falls back on your gameplay and game style. If you want to lean more into the melee style builds, you might want to look into getting something like the Spirit of the Synthesis or the Spirit of the Liar. Me personally, I'm still looking for a cloak with the Spirit of Verity or the Spirit of Gerfalcon, both of which are great for any of your Void builds. But if you get your hands on a Spirit of Verity and you want to rock something like a Solar build, there's nothing wrong with going with something like a Red Death and Solar Grenades. Now before we get into the build for today, let's talk about the Spirit of Galanor paired alongside the Spirit of Star Eater. On paper, this combo looks like a match made in heaven. You got the Spirit of Galanor that will give you super energy back, and you got the Spirit of Star Eater that'll give you more bonus damage to that super. But if we go back to what I initially said, the Spirit of Galanor is not for boss DPS. You will not gain that 50% energy back, thus making this combo, in my opinion, kind of null and void. Unless, yes, there is an unless you're going against more beefier targets. Maybe you're taking down multiple Tormentors, then yes, I can see some viability in the Spirit of Galanor paired alongside the Spirit of the Star Eater. Now I have to give a massive caveat here. Remember, when you're utilizing Spirit of the Galanor, when you activate your super ability, any kills you get at that time are null and void until you hit that 50%. Thus meaning, if you're getting kills while your super is active, if you're under the 50%, Spirit of Galanor will activate, putting you at 50%. Now, if you are over 50%, Spirit of Galanor will not activate because you are capped at 50%. Now, for today's build, we're gonna dive deep into Spirit of Galanor. We're gonna want a gun that gets us our super back as quickly as possible. So the main workhorse behind today's build is the Bad Juju Exotic Pulse Rifle. It comes with the exotic perk, String of Curses. Kills refill the magazine, increase damage for a short duration, and grants super energy based on the strength of String of Curses. Now there's a lot to unpack there. When you get a kill, you activate String of Curses. This is going to refill the magazine. Next over, we have damage for a short period of time. When you get one kill, you get a 20% damage buff. 2 kills, you get a 40% damage buff. When you have String of Curses times 3, that's 60%, then 80%, then 100%. String of Curses maxes out at 5 stacks. Now, when it comes to super energy, it's going to be as simple as 0.8%, 1.1%, 1.4%, 1.7%, and a whole 2% when you have String of Curses times 5. Now we want to make the bad juju even stronger, so we want to use a kinetic siphon. Rapid kinetic final blows create an orb of power. Since the bad juju is a kinetic weapon, we will drop multiple orbs of power when we get multiple kills. Next over, we want to use a kinetic weapon surge. This is going to give us bonus damage on our kinetic weapons, thus meaning not only will we have String of Curses times 5, but now we'll have kinetic weapon surge active, giving us even more damage. When we have more damage with the bad juju pulse rifle, we'll be able to eliminate more enemies, thus giving us more super energy. But it doesn't end there. We want to use the Facet of Grace. Defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus transcendent energy. Since we're going to be getting a ton of kills and we're going to be landing a ton of precision hits, we want to use the Facet of Solitude. Landing rapid precision hits emits a severing blast from the target. While transcendent, the severing blast is bigger. Since we will be using our super more often, we want to use the armor mod Power Preservation. Your super final blows create extra orbs of power for your allies. With this mod right here, I've seen a maximum of about 6 orbs being generated for my teammates. So not only will we be getting more super energy with the bad juju, but every time we use our super and we secure a ton of kills, our teammates will be picking up more orbs of power. Now when it comes to our abilities, there's only 2 I recommend. We want to use the combination blow melee, and we want to use the gunpowder gamble aspect. The reason for that is when we get kills with our grenade, this in turn will activate the helmet armor mod Ashes the Assets. Gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. When we get grenade kills with our gunpowder gamble grenade, we're going to get bonus super energy. On top of that, when we get kills with our regular grenade, we're going to activate Ashes the Assets once again. Not only is this a build for you to get super energy back, but it's a build to generate as many orbs as possible for your teammates. This is why we're going to be using the armor mods Heavy-Handed and Firepower. When we get grenade final blows, we create orbs of power. When we get melee final blows, we create orbs of power. And yes, Gunpowder Gamble activates the Firepower mod. Since we will be generating a ton of orbs with our Kinetic Siphon, our Firepower mod, and our Heavy-Handed mod, it only makes sense to run the Invigoration and Innervation mod, both of which will reduce the cooldown of our melee and grenade. Lastly, when it comes to our cloak, there's only 2 mods I recommend. One of them is going to be the Reaper mod. Shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. So when we dodge and we get a kill with the bad juju, this will generate an orb of power. Lastly, we want to use the Time Dilation armor mod. With Time Dilation, this will extend the time of our kinetic weapon surge mod, giving us more bonus damage for our bad juju. And there you have it. Is this the ultimate endgame build? For some people, yes, depending on your activity. If you're jumping into an activity with a ton of enemies, you might want to dive deep into the power fantasy of getting your super back more often. I've been using this build for a few days now, and it's going to stay in my loadouts as a support build. Not only do I have the ability to be a massive support for my teammates by generating a ton of orbs, but I'll be able to contribute a ton of damage with my super and weapon damage. But let me know down below in the comment section, is this a build you see yourself using? Or what other builds are you using right now? Thank you so much for stopping by. You enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.